Hello, and welcome to the quarterly romance book club. So for this quarter, which is our second quarter, Chloe and I have decided to read When You Get the Chance by Emma Lord, which is a relatively new release, right? I think.
Fairly new within the past few months.
Mm-hmm. And it is a YA. And so it takes place in New York. It also very heavily revolves around theater and acting and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty fun. Do you want to go ahead and kind of talk about your initial thoughts before we jump into spoilers? Kind of just recap.
Well, I'm glad I got the audio, not because it was bad, just because I don't think I would have finished it in time if I didn't. But Emma Lord is a new author to me. I haven't fully read anything by her before. I had started one of her other books, and I didn't fully DNF it, but I just had to stop it at the time because it wasn't a good time for me to be reading it. So this is the first one I've completely read through, and I give it 4 stars. I think it's not like an all-time favorite or where I'm immediately have to read the next thing she writes. But she's on my radar. I'll check out her other books from the library and see what they're about and my thoughts on those. But it was a good read. That's basically it. She's on my radar.
So I did read You've Got a Match, I think it was called, and I really enjoyed that. I gave that 4 stars. And even though there was different stuff going on in this story, it gives me very similar vibes. I mean, I'm sure part of that is just that it's her writing, but this focus on kind of family drama, or maybe not just drama, but family trauma. Just I feel like that's also present in the other book. But I do like her writing. I think she has a pretty interesting way of explaining things, and the kind of metaphors that she uses as she's describing scenarios, or the pop culture references that she sticks in there were pretty funny. So I'm very eager to read the other book by her that I haven't read yet, which is Tweet Cute, and I know that's the first one, and I feel like that one's just going to be so much fun. So
I'm definitely interested in going back and picking up You Have a Match, just because it has the summer camp vibes, I believe. And last summer, in May, June, I don't know, I read Sunkissed by Casey West, and that's a YA summer camp novel. And for some reason, I just became obsessed with that book. It was so good, and I was searching for more. So it's, the You Have a Match is definitely something that I do want to go back to. I just haven't had the time, or haven't.
So, there was, I feel like this is kind of similar to the last book that we read in the way that there's romance in it, but it wasn't necessarily like a romance.
This, I would not classify this as a romance. The romance was the last 20 pages of the whole book.
I feel like you kind of knew when he was first introduced, because they had this kind of back and forth teasing each other kind of relationship. So I was like, okay, well, that's who the love interest is going to be. And so again, I feel like it was kind of similar to the last one, because the romance was like that too. It's, you see it in the beginning, and there's this very, very, very thin thread that's throughout, and then it kind of wraps up at the end. But that was not the focus of the story at all.
It definitely was a backseat plot, and that was fine, because the main plots, there weren't so many, but there were so many, with her trying to find who her mom is, and trying to get into the pre-college, or wanting to go to the pre-college, and then also the internship / just her theater life. There were many different plots woven together. That's why I'm glad that the romance, while it was a plot, it was like a teeny tiny little string at the end of the book or the back of the book.
Did you know who her mom was going to be?
No, that.
Oh, by the way, spoilers. We're like in spoiler territory at this point.
Who her mom was actually completely threw me off. I didn't think she would find her mom in the book at all. When she had narrowed it down and she thought it was Steph and then it wasn't Steph, I was like, oh, we're not going to find out. And I was like, you know what? And I'm okay with that because maybe she'll have like some like self-realization of like, it's okay and all this stuff. But no, that threw me for a loop.
I actually did kind of guess because I was like, why is this person in here? They're like kind of just there, but I don't know. I was like, I bet you that's going to end up being her mom.
I liked Georgie. She was like, at the beginning, I didn't like her because she was like a hard ass. But then after Millie had her like absolute meltdown, she was more like relaxed. Like she pulled her side, she helped her, all that stuff. That was I
thought it's kind of funny just how much investigating she did into her dad's like, college life and
and I liked his name Cooper. And I liked that Teddy would talk about him like that, like what's Cooper all about now or something, some stupid thing like that.
It was just fun that she had, such a nerdy dad. I think I was really concerned in the beginning of the book though, because I wanted to know, like, what's the deal with the mom, like why, how does that happen? Like obviously her mom still had to birth her and stuff. So like,
it just happened.
So the way he would talk about her, or like when he mentioned that her mom was also into theater, I was like, what happened here? How did this go down? What are the logistics of this? So I guess it was kind of explained in the book in regards to how her mom felt and why she kind of detached, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't, I was expecting more. I don't know.
I think because it was something that came up right at the end, maybe it could have gone with like a little bit more of an extended scene, or that part where her and her dad were at the pier and the dad was like, you can ask me whatever you want. And she only asked like one question. And I'm like, if we had extended that just a little bit more, then maybe it would have worked.
And I don't know if I was confusing what she was saying, but like she said that she wasn't sure who the dad was, but she did eventually figure out that it was Cooper, right?
That part I don't remember because I thought she was pretty confident because they were, now I'm going to go find it. I just remembered that they were best friends.
Right. Because I thought she was saying like she wasn't sure who it is, but like the way she was saying it for some reason made it sound like he wasn't the dad, but she left the baby with him because they were best friends and she knew he would take care of her. But I think she also said that they looked alike or something along those lines.
It says, okay, hold on. Let me go forward a couple sentences here. Okay, so she said, I was going to put you up for adoption. I didn't even tell anyone I was pregnant, but I took one look at you and I knew you were his. And I knew he'd take care of you the way I couldn't. I knew he'd give you a good life. I mean, is that in alluding to?
I think so.
I don't know.
But I mean, he did he loved her and he took good care of her. But what was his reasoning for him not wanting her to go away to school, to that school, that pre-college thing? Was it just like a monetary?
That I think it was just because it was across the country. It was one of those things where it's like you're 17, 18. I don't want you to go across the country, and it's technically not college, so
Right. Right. What did you think of Oliver?
I didn't have too many strong opinions on him. I liked that kind of when they're not when the romance was starting, but when like there was like a budding friendship, how they would joke back and forth. I liked that. I really liked Teddy though. I preferred Teddy. I don't know why. If it was just like the personality, but I liked Teddy a lot. That was a good friendship duo, I think.
I was gonna say, was it like the friendship banter between them?
Maybe. I'm not really sure. I'm very interested in what human geocaching is now, or whatever that is. I don't get it.
I don't know if I get it either. But
I like that he, even though he was the child of what two, like they were like surgeons, I can't even remember, and he just eats Reese's Puffs and sits on his couch and watch TV and whatever. I really liked him. I liked his personality.
what did you think of just the theater setting overall?
Okay, so in the beginning, when they were talking about whether it was going to be Mamma Mia or not, the school play, I thought it was going to be more heavily involved. Yes, it was still involved. Like it was definitely like a personality thing, and with Georgie being a talent manager and them having to run errands for a talent manager, that was interesting. But it wasn't as heavy as I expected it to be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I think I guess I like the way everything resolved itself. I was definitely curious in regards to like, you know, who Cooper was kind of live journaling about or whatever in regards to, you know, who the mom was and who it was he was like totally in love with. And so I think it's nice to see maybe that adults get second chances in situations like that,
especially in the epilogue or the last chapter, whichever one it was.
What did you think about Chloe as a character?
She was insane. Like for a, she was supposed to be a sophomore, I think. For a sophomore, I think she was written younger than that. I don't know why.
Maybe the voice. I think maybe the voice.
Yeah,
that was in the audiobook. She sounded a little bit hyper, a little bit younger.
She was crazy, and it probably was that audiobook. Yeah, but she, as a character, she was fine. But I didn't get sophomore from it, if that makes sense.
I think like I can't imagine not knowing like who one of my parents is, but I also like I feel like she came up with such a scheme to kind of figure it out that's pretty intense to maintain that. I can't imagine interacting with 3 different people in a specific program and being like, well, one of them is my mom.
Also, where did she find the time? Like a dance class, an internship, and like I don't know if it was a weekly or a monthly club hangout, the social hour thing. Where is the time? I mean, granted, it was summer, but still.
And I totally get the curiosity, but that sounds like I don't know. That sounds so scary and potentially painful to be confronted. And then, like, when the confrontation actually did happen, it was so unexpected for her. Like, she was not, she had kind of put away, like, okay, these people aren't my mom, so whatever. Or she was still thinking it was Steph. I don't know.
That's why it threw me for a loop. Actually, I think it was after after Dad said it wasn't anybody named Steph.
He was like, I think he said, I don't know anybody named Steph.
Yeah, that's why I was like, well, we're not gonna know in the book, and she's gonna have like some sort of like self-actualization or something like that. And that's why I think it threw me for a loop.
I think it's I can't remember, honestly. I'm sure maybe it was in like the BookTube Chicks book club. I can't remember off the top of my head like the last YA thing that I read.
Yeah, it probably was.
Or maybe it was like the Inheritance games.
Yeah, that's the last YA we read for book club, I think.
Mm-hmm. I haven't been reading quite as much of it.
I think both of our reading tastes have evolved recently. Mine has not evolved nearly as much as others. It's like tiny little evolutions.
I don't know like what else I was expecting, because this is like a 4 for me. I don't know necessarily what could have made it a 5, because I feel like a lot of those plot lines that were in there did get wrapped up. Maybe it was just like, I don't know if it was that like I did kind of figure out who the mom was, or even though like some of the topics were heavy, I feel like it wasn't heavy enough at the same time. Like I wasn't like super emotionally attached to any of the people or the characters or the outcome.
Yeah, it wasn't like a hard-hitting YA, and it wasn't like a light contemporary. It was like a we'll throw some curveballs in there. I definitely think that Emma Lord is somebody who I need to try another book from first before I really make any solid opinions. And with that summer camp book, summer is coming up, so maybe that'll be a good time to read it.
That one was like a surprise in regards to how heavy it got in some areas. Like I would say that was a bit more hard hitting than this one. Like the family drama ended up being very complicated.
Yeah, and Tweet Cute, from the the outward looks and the title, seems to be looks like it would be something very light, because I think that was her debut.
Yeah, it was her debut. I don't know what the deal is with like grilled cheese in that one, but I think there's grilled cheese in it. I don't know why I think about that all the time. I'm like, Twitter and grilled cheese sounds awesome. I feel like I'm not sure what else to say.
Yeah, it felt like not like an average YA, but it was just a book, just a contemporary. Kind of like how like Casey West just writes those like fluffy books. Like I don't remember any of them, but but I like them.
I haven't read anything by Casey West yet.
Read Sunkissed. I remember.
Was that like the newest one?
Yeah. Well, her new book comes out on Tuesday, but that's the one that came out last year. I like.
Do you think that Millie should have? Okay, first of all, let's talk about this whole thing with her being Little Joe.
Oh, her like 5 minutes of fame.
Yes.
That I think that I understand. Okay, so when she went viral as Little Joe, she was like 12, I think. So I understand the need to want to get away from that, and why she was consistently, quote, evolving herself or like changing up her style and her look and all that stuff. I don't necessarily think it was a major part of the book, just from because we've reached that point with Millie where she's not like consistently evolving and changing her style. And so yes, it was like a funny, like little cute background information, but and I can see why she would constantly be wanting to change because you're at that like impressionable age. But I think that she kind of grew beyond that in this, like by the time we meet her in this book, if that makes sense.
I mean, and maybe it's just the mind of a 12-year-old kid kind of, telling themselves stories. But the fact that she was concerned that her mother had seen that and that she was so embarrassed for like her own career that's why she stayed out of her life. Like, that's one hell of a reason to write into the book. I don't know. That was pretty.
I'd like to point out that on the cover of here, excuse me, it says a search for her birth mother, a crush on her rival. I don't think there was really a crush on her rival until the last 50 pages. And then at the synopsis on the inside, it says something about Oliver, but it says, who's the very definition of simmering romantic tension. And I'm like, what? That was not present until the end.
I mean, I don't know. It seemed like in the beginning they did have a bit of a rivalry. Like they were working on similar projects and they liked to annoy each other. And so I feel like I was kind of just waiting for that to turn around. And there was like little nuggets dropped. Like at one point when she was just like, well, yeah, you're hot. And he was like, what? you just called me hot. She was like, yes, it's an objective truth.
I have a question for you. Only because there's an age difference between us. Mm-hmm. So this is more of a question for you than it is for me. When it said something about how her dad's posts were from 2003 and that would roughly be her birth year. Did that make you feel old? It made me feel a little old, and I would have only been like 5. I would have only been 5 or 6, and I felt a little old just reading that.
I think I probably just like threw it over my shoulder and kept going. Like I didn't even stop to be like, because when I have students that were born in the 1990s, I'm like, that makes me feel old. So, I mean, my son was born in 2001.
Do I make you feel old? I was born in the late 90s. My coworker the other day, well, she's my coworker, but she's also like, she does my evaluations and stuff like that. She was doing my birth chart the other day and she was like, okay, what year were you born? And I told her it was 97. And she just goes, oh my God. It was so funny. But yeah, I was just wondering because that kind of made me feel old and I only would have been about 6 at the time. Also, I think it was like Will pointed out to me, or somebody pointed it out, that if you like look on the ID and you don't see like the 20, you see like anything before 2000, you're like, oh, don't need to see it. I see the 19 or whatever. And it's like, what?
It's a time is such a weird thing because like, you're 20 something and you're born in the late 90s, but like, it feels like, because I was a teenager in the 90s. So it feels like that was yesterday. So to have the reminder of like, no, that was 20 some odd years ago, over 20 some odd years ago. It's just strange. It's weird because you're like, no, that was right around the corner. Like old for me is like the 70s, the 60s, like the 50s. So, like,
it's still old. I can be old for anybody.
Yeah. But it's just weird. It's just weird how time works.
The other day, before I saw you guys yesterday, so Thursday, I went to trivia night, and I was also with some coworkers. And one of them, we both went to the same high school. We just different times. And she goes, "Oh, what year did you graduate?" And my other coworker, who's like significantly older than me, goes, "Yesterday." when it was like, I don't even know how many years ago it was. Less than 10, but more than 4 or 5. I don't know.
You know what I think is interesting though is like, are young adults gonna even understand the references? You know, like sometimes it just feels like who is this really being written for? Because like I know what LiveJournal is, but
I think that really depends on who's writing it. Like, you know, I don't know what year Emma Lord was born in, but you know, like across like the next 10 plus years, like there's going to be authors debuting who were like born in like 2005 or 2000 whatever, like it's fucking wild.
But when I think about like social media being incorporated into like stories, like, you know, like if you read a book where it said something like, remember when everyone was on Friendster? Like, does anybody remember Friendster at this point? Like, I know I've talked to my son and he's like, what the hell was Friendster? I was like, Friendster is before MySpace. So like, just like, you know, there might be a point, you know, now that Elon Musk has bought Twitter, where things might totally change and people be like, Twitter, what's that?
Do you find it weird that there's like a 4 to 5 year age difference between me and your son, but like that's also like that's still a lot of years in the sense of like what were we just talking about, like references?
Wait, is it even that many years?
I don't know how old
he's 20,
and I'm going to be 25 this year.
Okay, he'll be 21 this year.
So we're 4 or 5, like 4.5. Meet in the middle there. Do you find that weird?
I don't know. I mean,
maybe there's a world of references he wouldn't understand that I would understand, though.
Probably. I mean, you knew what the electric slide was, so.
Yeah. I was surprised Dad didn't know what that was. We're getting totally off topic. We started talking about 2003. And I just wanted to know. Also, the thing about grilled cheese is in her little bio here, the last sentence is she was raised on glitter, grilled cheese, and a whole lot of love.
Well,
that's where
it makes sense now. Listen, grilled cheeses are the bomb.
Bro, you and I can't be eating no grilled cheeses anymore. It's a lot of points.
Oh my god. What did you think of like Millie as a character? Did you think she was like a strong female character? Do you feel like
she was fine? Sorry, I just noticed that there's stars on the naked cover here.
Should she have been more straightforward?
She was wild. I mean, she was like I don't know. Apparently, she's infamous for her Millie moods. So maybe she's a little like dramatic, which I think she admits in this book.
I mean, she's a theater kid, so like,
this is a character that I think Kat would think is annoying. I'm just saying.
I mean, I guess that's why I was asking, because I didn't personally find her annoying. Like,
I don't get annoyed by characters as easily as other people do. Sometimes there's just some straight up annoying characters, and even I can see like you're being stupid or something like that. But I don't really pay attention to it as much because I tend to like a lot of trashy books too.
Do you think that I kind of wish I had seen more of her dad? Like,
oh yeah, because he went on like that business trip or whatever right towards the beginning.
But I would have liked to see just like more of their relationship. Oh, hold on. The sister. Heather?
Sister. Oh, Heather. Right.
Yeah,
oh my god.
His sister.
Hold on. So the part where they see her making out with the dance teacher. I can't remember her name. And the dad starts laughing, and he's like, I'm both horrified, but also really like think it's hilarious that we've both made out with the same person. Or something.
That's like, yeah.
So so she owns the milkshake bar. This is like an ice cream place and a club in one. That's what I didn't understand.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think I may have missed the explanation of that. But I keep thinking about how freaked out Millie was about, like, wait, my aunt is potentially like dating my mom. Like,
oh yeah, that was funny.
So I think that could have gotten way, way, way more awkward.
Maybe that was like the clue that she wasn't the mom.
I mean, I think that's what. Well, yeah, when that whole exchange happened, and when her dad said that, I think that's when she was like, okay, well then she's not my mom either.
Farrah, that's the name. Farrah.
I don't know why she thought it was Steph. Is that just another name? Because I know that, like, you know, as they were going through his journals, that's when they found the name for, like, Beth and her mom's actual name that she dropped. I don't remember what it was. It was like Fikowski or something like that.
Oh, I can't remember. I think I'm on this. Hold on. I think I opened it up to the section where he's laughing about them both making out with the same woman. Yeah, except no, because now I have to figure out how to tell my sister we've made out with the same woman without laying on the floor and hoping the elements take me.
So he didn't actually tell her. So he's not, just not then. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you even? By the way, just so you know, in college,
gotta tell you something.
So yeah, I guess that was an interesting twist to throw in there. I do like the scene at the end in regards to, I mean, she seemed very flustered and very confused that Oliver wouldn't be her manager, but I thought it was I thought it
chill out.
I thought it was sweet, though, that he finally just took her hand and was like, duh, this is why. Hello.
I like this. Millie, you're not a person. You're a roller coaster. My seatbelt is buckled. I have no idea where you're going, but I'm in for the ride.
That was such a great quote. I loved that. That's a great way for him to just acknowledge that she's a lot, but he's ready.
I dig it.
So I liked it. 4 stars. That's what it gets from me.
Yeah. It doesn't get much else, but 4 stars. This is a book, let me be honest. This is the kind of contemporary that we're going to forget about by the end of the year. Like, we'll see it and we'll be like, yeah, we read that. And we'll have a vague idea of what happened, but we won't remember it. That's Casey West. I'm saying. Like, I cannot remember I don't know anything about any Casey West book prior to Sunkissed.
That's funny.
Because they're all just fluffy romances. Although I didn't think that this was a romance.
No, it wasn't. It just had that little sprinkle mostly at the end.
I think the first book that we read, the first quarter, was an adult romance. This was YA. The next one is definitely an adult romance. I don't know about the last one. I'm gonna look.
The first one, even though it was like more about her growing personally as a person, you know,
it wasn't not.
Yeah, it had romance, but I think it had more romance than this.
Okay, so the one that we're reading for the fourth quarter is also young adult. This says it's an anthology.
Is it?
I don't know.
Wait, an anthology? I thought it was just co-written by.
That's what I thought. Now I'm trying to find out. it might be like what's the example book? Let It
Blackout?
Snow.
Oh,
Where they're all, yeah, like Blackout, or like Let It Snow, where they're all interwoven together, or like the Allie Hazelwood Steminist trilogy. They're all interwoven together like that. That might be it. I dig it. I don't know.
do you have any final thoughts on when you get the chance?
I don't. 4 stars. It was good. It's not like an all-time favorite, and I'll probably need to test the waters with Emma Lord with like another book, and we'll see.
I feel like I've read enough by her where I think I would consider her an auto-buy author. Like I do like her writing.
An auto-buy, even though you're not really reading YA as much anymore?
That's a good question. I mean, I think like
What about an auto-borrow?
I was going to say that I think that, when I'm selecting YAs to read, that I would probably lean towards her stuff, just knowing her writing and knowing her style and just appreciating her humor and the way she kind of phrases things. So I don't have, you might, because you're in your library, you might have a copy of the book that we're reading next quarter. So it was actually a book of the month option. I don't remember how many months back. I don't know if it was like last month or the month before. Yes. So for the next quarter, we are reading Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma, who I follow on TikTok, and she's pretty awesome. So you should follow her on TikTok too. Your mic is muted.
I apologize. It was definitely the March box, only because I didn't get an April box. I think this is the last thing I got from Book of the Month. Okay. I was excited to read this. I saw it at Barnes & Noble yesterday.
I am very excited to read it. I know that, just because you and I like romance anyway, those are the kinds of books that we lean towards during the Book of the Month options. So I don't even know exactly what that's about because I didn't even. Is that a playlist?
But it has a Taylor Swift playlist.
Oh, that's fun.
Perfect for me. Is that in the? Okay, I didn't know if that was in the middle of the story or not. It's not. It's at the end.
Do you want to go ahead and just like? Do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. Well, it'll be a surprise for everybody. Karina Mann dreams of having a love story like her parents, but she prefers restoring her classic car to swiping right on dating apps. When her father announces I do remember reading this. Sorry. When her father announces he's selling her late mother's home, Karina makes a deal with him. He'll gift her the house if she can get engaged in 4 months. But her search for a soulmate becomes impossible when her argument with Dr. Prem Verma, host of the Dr. Dill show, goes viral. Now the only man in her life is the one she doesn't want. Dr. Prem Verma is dedicated to building a local community health center, but he needs to get donors with deep pockets. The Dr. Dill show was doing just that until his argument with Karina went viral and he was left shortchanged. That's when Karina's meddling aunties present Prem with a solution. Convince Karina he's her soulmate and he'll regain funding for his clinic. Even though his views on love matches and arranged matches conflict with hers, Prem finds that the more he's with Karina, the more he begins to believe she's the woman he wants to spend the rest of his life with. But for Prem and Karina to find their happily ever after, they must admit that hate has turned into fate. It's a lot going on. But I still dig it.
I love the cover. Mm-hmm. I love the pink.
This was a book that I saw a lot. I saw it a lot on social media, but I didn't really know anything about it or didn't really put it on my TBR until I saw it for Book of the Month.
That's kind of how it was for me with the Love Hypothesis.
Same,
but
yes.
So happy we read that.
I remember
I'm very much looking forward to this.
So I remember when the September picks, because that was the September month, I think, when those came out on Book of the Month, and I saw The Love Hypothesis, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna take a chance on it, and now it's like one of my favorite books.
Your favorite
of all
books,
time.
yeah. Yeah. So who knows? Hopefully, maybe this one will be a new favorite too.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, do we have a date for the next live show?
We do, but let me pull it up real quick. We do, but it's very, very tentative just because it's like 3 months away.
Okay. All right. So I did not provide a date in the description, but definitely follow Quarter Romance on Twitter, because when we nail down that date, we can go ahead if you want to.
Tentatively August 7th. Tentatively.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still like 4 months away.
All right. Cool. So I think that's kind of that. So thanks for joining me, Chloe, and reading romance with me. I know that we were like, let's do a romance club, but it can't be every month because that's a lot. So
we already have you have 2 book clubs already, and then we both had the BookTube Chicks book club. That's why I was like quarterly works.
Yeah, I'm cool with quarterly. So if you've made it this far, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next quarter. So bye.